Like, he named himself Lord Voldemort. You know what I mean? It's not like, oh, everyone was like, oh yeah, he's so good. He's
such
Lord.
a lord.
He's such a lord. He's like, no, I'm Lord Voldemort. He kind
It's
of
a drag
explains
name.
that.
Welcome to Sleepover Cinema, where we analyze the films that created the collective unconscious of those who problematically attend the wizarding world of Harry Potter at Universal Studios. I'm Hannah Leach, a multidisciplinary artist, audio producer, and ride warrior.
And I'm Audrey Leach, director, editor, producer, and soon-to-be minion. I will explain that later. We are the sister filmmaking duo, also known as Two Pink Productions, and we haven't stopped thinking about these movies since we first saw them.
We're going to explore the good, the bad, and the nonsensical of the movies that first inspired our love for film in an attempt to answer the question, are these movies actually good? And at the end of the day, do we really care if they are?
Today we are talking about 2002's Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets.
1 year ago, he learned the truth.
You're a wizard, Harry.
And his first year at Hogwarts School became legend. And so, for Harry Potter and his friends, another year begins.
Bloody bird's a menace.
Their education in the magical arts continues.
Pixies.
Laugh if you will, Mr. Finnegan. See what you make of them. No!
Old rivalries grow stronger.
Slytherin's got a new seeker.
Malfoy. You'll never catch me, Potter!
And something in the school's dark past will be awakened.
The Chamber of Secrets has indeed been opened.
Unless the culprit is caught, it is likely the school will be closed.
Harry Potter must go home.
This year, Harry! Warner Brothers Pictures presents
How dare you steal that car!
the next chapter of Harry Potter, where the past will return and the struggle for the future of Hogwarts will begin. Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets.
Let us hope that Mr. Potter will always be around to save the day.
Don't worry. I will be.
As we have kind of hinted at, we are talking about a Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets today. A, because it is arguably a holiday movie. It's not really, but it has that kind of like warm childhood energy. But also because we just went to Universal Studios Hollywood because Josh and I were visiting Audrey and we were inspired.
We've really seen it all. Because here's the thing. We had not been to the Wizarding World since 2011, which is roughly around when it opened. And tension and excitement was high going into that trip because it was so new. So now going in 2023 is like a whole other experience for so many reasons.
Yes.
The circumstances around Harry Potter have changed. There's another franchise, the what's it called? Fantastic Beasts. Mm-hmm. As some of you may or may not know, there's also a HBO Max related reboot in the works, which is like sad. But
yes, I have some information about that later in the first half. I also wanted to say, so I double checked the timeline of like when the park opened versus when the movies ended. It actually opened summer 2010, which makes sense because I was going into my sophomore year of high school, and the last movie came out summer 2011.
yeah.
So it was like really deep in the hype of the movie series. I think the best way to describe the difference in overall vibe definitely had to do with just like the attitude of the people working there in general. Like no one was like mean or problematic, but like no one was in character, including the people whose entire job was to be in character.
What's weird though is I don't remember them being in character like ever. Like people who work at a restaurant, like I don't remember them ever having to be in character. It was more just like be nice. You know?
Well, what I'm really thinking of is when we were standing in line to get into the Three Broomsticks, there were like these two women in...
Those were not employees.
No.
Their name tags were not consistent. Because
Okay.
I also listened to what they were saying.
Okay.
And it made it clear that these are park dwellers. And so I think what we have discovered is this culture of grown adults who frequent the park so much that they have the confidence of somebody who works there because they know it so well.
Yeah.
And so we had this whole situation occur when we were in line for the Three Broomsticks we wanted to eat lunch there, and it was just a whole experience. Basically what happened is we're in the line and we start to spot people that are clearly dressed up as characters from the franchise. Gilderoy Lockhart, Professor Trelawney, Mad-Eye Moody, and the oldest Weasley brother, right?
Yes. Yes. And to say the Lockhart and the Bill Weasley were like so good that they almost had us completely sold that they were supposed to be like face characters, but then Lockhart's wig gave it away.
I pretty much immediately knew that it wasn't real because Harry Potter World does not have face characters other than people of the world that are not the people we know. If that makes sense?
Yes, yeah.
Which is smart because Harry Potter is mostly filled with regular people who happen to go to a school. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
But because it's been such a long time since it opened, I was like, maybe they're just branching out. Like, maybe they're doing something different. Because the confidence of this man in the Gilderoy Lockhart getup was so palpable that I was like, he has to be in character. Like, this can't just be a regular guy.
He had the confidence of Gilderoy Lockhart, the character. The things he was saying were not in character. Like, he was just talking to his friends, which is why ultimately I knew and we kind of figured out that these people are just a cosplaying friend group, essentially.
Yeah. I mean, Lockhart I was kind of impressed by, but the other thing was that they were definitely like enjoying the fact that they were confusing people.
Yeah, like they're like getting too much out of it, and it made me feel weird.
Yeah,
because like I can't even describe. It is a level of cringe. I gotta call it for what it is. I think if they were just dressed up, like for example, the other ladies, they were not specific characters, but they were like very much of the world, and I can appreciate them more because they were just existing, and they were less of a obstruction, I feel like.
I don't know, like I guess they weren't trying to confuse, but at the same time I thought that they were.
Yes, because they did have name tags, but they just were not consistent with actual employees.
I still think that because I heard them say that they were there for pictures, for people to take pictures with them.
Right, they were there for pictures. Like, they are those types of cosplayers. They like to go there and take pictures. One of them also was in jeans. That would not be a thing if you were actually hired.
Yes. That part confused me.
Yeah, so I think I got it all figured out.
I trust you, and I think you're right. Also, just as a side note with the Harry Potter stuff, we went with Hunter and Josh, and it's a long story, but we somehow ended up in the wand fitting room with just the four of us and then an adult couple.
Well, I have to explain this because I said soon to be minion.
Oh, do you want to talk about that first and then the palate cleanser? Okay.
I have to explain this.
Okay.
So we are approaching the end of the day. We had been in Universal for about 11 hours or 10 hours. And we were like trying to figure out how we wanted to end the day. And then we kind of like figured out there was this little branch of the park that we hadn't been to yet because we were very sidetracked by the big rides and we hadn't really gone over to where Despicable Me is. And it's like little Europe. It's like little Paris vibes. So we go over there. We see that there's no or a very minimal wait for this Despicable Me Minion 4D type. Not 4D because there's no smell. But like, experience thing. So we were like, okay, you know what? F it. Let's go do it. So we did it. But Josh has motion sickness. And so we were in one of those little chairs where it moves with the movement in the film. So you feel like you're moving with it even though you're not. And when we sat down to watch this thing, it's like the end of the day, all the babies for the most part had probably left the park because we're getting late. And it was just dead quiet in there. And we looked at each other and we were like, is this real? Like, does anybody work here?
It was also especially bizarre because most of the time in theme parks, like, the people helping you get in the rides or get off the rides are like 21-year-olds. And for some reason, the guy making sure everyone got into their little like carts appropriately was like in his 70s or something. Like, this guy stood out so hard and it was dead silent in this room. And it took a weirdly long time for it to start. And it was extremely weird.
And we were laughing because in the little pre-show, they make it extremely clear to you that you are about to be turned into a minion. That is the premise of this ride. They will tell you it like 25 times and then they say it again. And it's just funny.
They really want you to understand why you are there. And I felt contextualized. And then, so after that, our palate cleanser was that we went to do the wand fitting experience, and
because there was like really, no wait.
Yeah, there was no wait, and it worked out that we got in line at the perfect time for our show to ultimately just be me, Audrey, Josh, Hunter, and then this other adult couple. And of course, Josh got picked to be the
chosen one.
The chosen one. And it was extremely funny and like cute in a weird way because Josh can like get into a magical immersive moment.
Yeah. I was hoping it would be him. I was hoping it would be, actually, I think any of us would have been equally entertaining because it's like, what do you do in this situation?
Yeah. I thought that he would like say more just because he's like that kind of guy, but I think he was overwhelmed.
Yes, but I did record it, so I'll put in a little clip of that.
It is a perfect fit, Josh. You have been chosen by a wand of walnut with a dragon heartstring. Powerful wand, a willingness to cast any spell.
We know that most of the listeners are theme park people, so we're just getting into the detail. But we did Super Nintendo World. We went on the Mario Kart ride. It was kind of a lot, but the queue
underwhelming though.
It was a bit underwhelming, but the queue is so good that it was pretty much just like a really nice and fun and interesting time. Then we went back later in the night and we watched the Princess Peach meet and greet for a while, and that was really cute. And we just had a fun time overall. The Jurassic Park ride was really good. We got corn dogs. I got a $12 Blue Moon. It was the best $12 Blue Moon I've ever had, and the only one probably.
It did inspire us to cover the second Harry Potter movie today. Because we did the first one in summer of 2022, or not summer, like fall of 2022.
Yeah.
And we're back.
Just over a year. Yeah. And that means that you guys just got to hear Josh's insanely good Harry Potter version of the theme song, which like that on its own is enough of a motivation to do another Harry Potter. But yeah, so we're here. We're gonna, of course, acknowledge the problematic elements, but in a different way this time, not just by being like J.K. Rowling. We don't need to over-explain any of that. Are you ready to get into the facts?
Yes.
Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets was released in the US and the UK on November 15th, 2002. It was rated PG for some scary moments, creature violence, and mild language. This movie was directed by Chris Columbus, who also directed the first movie. He was raised in Ohio and went to NYU. He's best known for his work on The Help, Percy Jackson, Harry Potter 1, 2, and 3, Rent, which he directed, Home Alone 2, and Mrs. Doubtfire. The source material was written by J.K. Rowling. All of the screenplays for the whole series were written by Steve Kloves, and he's primarily known for the screenplays for this series, but also the 2012 The Amazing Spider-Man, and now all of the like extended Harry Potter universe content. So all of the Fantastic Beasts stuff, he's been sucked into the machine, and
she must really love him.
Okay, so these synopses.
All right, IMDb. An ancient prophecy seems to be coming true when a mysterious presence begins stalking the corridors of a school of magic and leaving its victims paralyzed. That's very vague. Letterboxd. Cars fly, trees fight back, and a mysterious house elf comes to warn Harry Potter at the start of his second year at Hogwarts. Adventure and danger await when bloody writing on a wall announces, "The Chamber of Secrets has been opened. To save Hogwarts will require all of Harry, Ron, and Hermione's magical abilities and courage." Rotten Tomatoes. The follow-up to Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone finds young wizard Harry Potter and his friends, Ron and Hermione, facing new challenges during their second year at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry as they try to discover a dark force that is terrorizing the school.
As they try to discover. Very strange way to put it.
I guess you don't really have to, because I guess it is the plot twist, but like they could sort of mention Tom Riddle.
I guess that's true.
I feel like that's important.
Yeah.
Taglines. We have 5. The first one is Hogwarts is back in session. The Chamber of Secrets has been opened. Enemies of the air, beware. Something evil has returned to Hogwarts. The Chamber of Secrets has opened, ... The second year begins November 15th. I like that one. That one is good.
Yeah.
It has the right level of melodrama and intrigue.
I wish that I had maybe been like in middle school when these came out instead of second grade, because imagine
Me too.
like the hype.
Yeah, I mean, I was like a straight up baby, I guess. So
now for the cast. I am not going to read through the cast this time because we did all that in the first one. But y'all know. But I did want to talk about the 2 new characters, Gilderoy Lockhart and Lucius Malfoy. But before I get into that, I just wanted to make note of the fact that Michael Gambon, who's Dumbledore, and Robbie Coltrane, who played Hagrid, have since passed away since we did our last episode, which is really, really sad. And we love both of them. And it also made going on the Forbidden Journey at Universal especially weird.
Yeah. They knew that their physical forms were going to live on through this IP specifically.
Yeah.
But how weird is that? It's actually
really weird.
So strange. And when you go on the Forbidden Journey, they are, and in the line for the Forbidden Journey, they are, you know, like life size. And that, I think that's the element that makes it extra freaky.
I feel like with Dumbledore's, at least, like the first Dumbledore died, so like you're a little bit more used to it.
Yeah, you're used to, and a lot of people probably think that Michael Gambon was the one, like they probably thought they were both dead.
Shout out to Michael and Robbie. Just wanted to mention that. There are 2 new notable characters, like big characters in this movie. I do not mean to disparage Moaning Myrtle, but I'm not going to explain who she is. And also just Kristen Coulson plays Tom Riddle. Hot Tom Riddle.
Yeah.
And that's him. First, we have Kenneth Branagh playing Gilderoy Lockhart. Kenneth Branagh is like the Shakespeare guy. He's English. He's made his whole career off of like the classics and Shakespeare. But I'm just going to read some highlights from his IMDb bio. At 23, Branagh joined the Royal Shakespeare Company, where he took on starring roles in Henry V and Romeo and Juliet. He soon found the Royal Shakespeare Company too large and impersonal and formed his own, the Renaissance Theatre Company, which now counts Prince Charles as one of its royal patrons. Is it King Charles now?
Yeah.
I don't know shit about the royal family. At 29, he directed Henry V, the movie from 1989, where he co-starred with his then wife, Emma Thompson, who is Trelawney. And then that movie brought him Best Actor and Best Director Oscar nominations. In 93, he did the same thing with Much Ado About Nothing, which included Denzel Washington, Michael Keaton, and Keanu Reeves. Then he directed and starred in Victor Frankenstein alongside Robert De Niro, and so on and so forth. He was also in My Week with Marilyn as Laurence Olivier and was also nominated for an Oscar for that one.
Can I just say, most recently, he stars and directed A Haunting in Venice.
Oh, I didn't know that. Next, we have Jason Isaacs playing Lucius Malfoy. He was in The Death of Stalin. He's a voice actor in Baldur's Gate 2. My gamers know about that. He was Hook / Mr. Darling in the 2003 Peter Pan live action adaptation. He is Commander Zhao in Avatar: The Last Airbender and Gabriel Lorca in Star Trek. And so in addition to all of those roles, he also was Louis Aronson in the original production of Angels in America Parts 1 and 2 for the Royal National Theatre. And he's like a very established theater actor as well. He also has impeccable vibes and I love him. So Thank you, Jason.
Budget, $100 million. Opening weekend made $88,357,488, and the worldwide gross is $878,979,634. The critic score was 82%, and the critic consensus on Rotten Tomatoes is, though perhaps more enchanting for younger audiences, Chamber of Secrets is nevertheless both darker and livelier than its predecessor, expanding and improving upon the first film's universe. Variety said, darker and more dramatic, this account of Harry's troubled second year at Hogwarts may be a bit overlong and unmodulated in pacing, but it possesses a confidence and intermittent flair that begin to give it a life of its own, a part of the literary franchise, something the initial picture never achieved. A New York Magazine said, this time around, Harry Potter has more to worry about than the dark arts, though parts of the Chamber of Secrets are spellbinding. He seems to be suffering from a bit of sequelitis. That reminded me of that meme.
Iridocyclitis.
Iridocyclitis. And the Village Voice said, Chambers' charm lies in the sheer visualization of Rowling's weirder inventions. Pots of shrivel, fizzed, screaming treelets? Harry's arm gone boneless from a bungled spell. A scolding letter from home that leaps to life as a yapping paper mouth.
What a sentence.
I've never said anything crazier than shrivel, fizzed, screaming treelets in my life.
Whoever wrote that phrase for the Village Voice was like, I'm gonna win the Pulitzer for
Shrivel
this one. Common Sense Media gave the movie 5 stars and rated it appropriate for ages 8 and over, and said it is an action and creature-packed Potter sequel. All of the questions to like talk with as a family were incredibly underwhelming, and so I didn't even list them because I was like surprised at how like they didn't even ask any questions about like the carceral nature of Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. Like I was kind of surprised, but we'll get into that. And then audience score and Letterboxd average star rating. On Rotten Tomatoes, the audience score is 80%, and on Letterboxd, it's 3.6 stars. Here are some audience opinions from Rotten Tomatoes. 5 stars. Good movie. And then 3 stars. It was boring and simple.
Letterboxd, 4 stars. Draco is so desperate to be part of the gang. He wants to be them so bad. He's obsessed. True. 4 stars. Harry Potter and the casually thrown around made up slurs.
So, cultural context. This is more like directorial context that I thought was interesting. So, the first and second Harry Potter movies are very much kind of the undisputed comfort movies of the series. Like, they still very much have like a youthful glow to them. They aren't like extremely blue for no reason. To me, this is like the last overall gold toned Harry Potter movie. I just was curious about why Chris Columbus stepped down. So this is what he had to say about the situation in a 2011 interview with The Hollywood Reporter. Sorcerer's Stone took 160 days of shooting, which is ridiculously long. And then, immediately after we stopped shooting, we started shooting Chamber of Secrets, which was another 160 days. That's roughly 320 days, not counting second unit, back-to-back shooting. And then he said after Chamber of Secrets, he could barely speak and felt emotionally and physically exhausted. I wasn't seeing my kids, who were young at the time, growing up. I was missing dinners with them. I thought, I can't do another 6, 7, 8 years of this. My kids will grow up and I'll never get to know them. So then for the third movie, he became a producer instead of the director, and Alfonso Cuarón took over as the director. As a producer, I don't have to be there all the time. I can be on the set a few hours a day. I can sit in on certain visual effects meetings, but it means I can get home in time for dinner, to see my kids in the morning to go to school. And by the time Azkaban ended, my family was ready to come back to the States. They missed their friends, and so it felt like the logical time to say goodbye. A man striving for work-life balance while directing the biggest franchise of the time.
Yeah.
Good for him. It was announced several months ago that HBO is doing a episodic reboot / remake of Harry Potter. So this is how the series is described by Max. The stories from each of Rowling's Harry Potter books will become a decade-long series produced with the same epic craft, love, and care this global franchise is known for. The series will feature a new cast to lead a new generation of fandom. I know. Full of the fantastic detail, much-loved characters, and dramatic locations that Harry Potter fans have loved for over 25 years. Each season will be authentic to the original books and bring Harry Potter and these incredible adventures to new audiences around the world, as if it wasn't already international.
Who cares? Yeah, this makes no sense.
While the original, classic, and beloved films will remain at the core of the franchise and available to watch globally.
Just say you're greedy.
Exactly. Okay, so then, speaking of greedy, this is a quote from Casey Bloys, the chairman and CEO of HBO and Max Content. So in this Hollywood Reporter article, they said that he was asked specifically about J.K. Rowling's controversial remarks on transgender individuals. Bloys declined to comment and instead stressed that her Harry Potter stories are indeed inclusive. J.K. is an executive producer and her insights will be helpful. We are in the Harry Potter business. The TV show is new and exciting, but we've been in the Harry Potter business for 20 years. This isn't a new decision, said Bloys, who is gay. We're comfortable being in the Potter business. JK is a very online conversation. It's very nuanced and complicated and not something we're going to get into. Our priority is what's on screen. The Harry Potter story is incredibly affirmative and positive about love and acceptance, and that's our priority, what's on the screen.
He might as well not have said anything.
Like, actually gross.
He should have just said nothing.
Also, the fact that they included the detail about him being gay is so funny to me. I feel like with all of these reboots that have been happening or remakes, that there's been a really big emphasis on diversity.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if they will refrain from any sort of like gender identity diversity, because that's such a big part of it.
They will. Generally speaking, I don't think there will be any messing with gender or really sexuality either.
But like the direction of the actors could be different, you know?
The odds of them being openly gay are a lot higher, like as people.
Yeah.
So I'm sure it'll seem fruitier than the original.
I mean, it'll certainly be fruitier.
Yeah.
Okay, so when did we first watch Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets? What did we remember about it before watching it again? I'll say that I did not realize how deeply ingrained this movie was in my brain until I watched it again yesterday.
Yeah, sometimes I kind of forget that this one isn't the first one because they feel, and it's true that they were shot almost, they were shot together, really.
Yeah.
It's almost like 2 episodes of the same show because there's not this dramatic thing where they grow up a lot and that happens later in the series. They feel like the same kids from the first movie to this movie. So yeah, to me, like the whole thing of Dobby and breaking him out of the house in the car and all that stuff, that feels like the first movie to me, even though it's not.
I could recite the movie.
Yeah, me too.
But like I really didn't think that I would be able to, and then like,
and also Chamber of Secrets is the one that we kind of had a lot of merchandise off of.
We had the desktop computer game of this one. That was a cultural touch point for us for a long time. I know we've talked about it before, but we would just sit in my room and run around the castle because I was too afraid to do any of the
play
dungeons.
The games.
Which is so nuts because I could do it now, like, absolutely no problem.
Well, yeah. It is for kids, after all.
I know. Harry Potter is on Max. Give it a watch. And meet us back here to discuss your findings, our findings, etc.
So if you're a loyal listener of Sleepover Cinema, you have definitely heard me talk a lot about seeing movies in theaters. I've been around the block. I've tried all the other chains and all their unlimited programs. And guess what? Regal Unlimited is where it's at.
Regal Unlimited is the all-you-can-watch movie subscription pass that pays for itself in just 2 visits. You can see any standard 2D movie anytime with no blackout dates or restrictions.
When you want to watch a movie in a premium format like 4DX, IMAX, RPX, or ScreenX, your Regal Unlimited membership gets you into those premium experiences at a reduced cost.
You're not just getting a discount on your thrilling experience, but on snacks.
I could have $5 left in my bank account, but I am going to get popcorn and an icy.
So, if you're planning on seeing 2 movies this month, you need to join Regal Unlimited. So, sign up now in the Regal app if you want to be fancy, or on regmovies.com/unlimited. That's regmovies.com/unlimited.
New subscribers can use code REG2PINK for 10% off Regal Unlimited for the first 3 months. That's REGTOO PINK.
Okay, we are back to talk about the second movie in the Harry Potter series. And I actually kind of have a lot of questions. Yeah, I feel like we don't really need to spend a whole lot of time being like, the production design is amazing. I feel like, that to me, that is the number one best thing about this movie and really the series in general is attention to detail, innovation in VFX, great casting, and just like that lived in feel that you get. It's like so palpable that I wish everything could have that, but not everything has the budget or the world building really to accomplish that. And that's something that can only come from books for the most part. It's like when something is super built out in words, then you can get that translated on screen. You know how at the beginning everyone's mad at Harry and Ron for being seen in the car? Like they're like, Muggles aren't used to seeing flying cars, and then Snape is like, you risked exposing our world and stuff. He literally said that. There are a lot of Muggles who know about the wizard world, like relatively, like it's not like this is a secret. It's not a secret.
I mean, it is though.
But how can that be true when bitches are running through a brick wall in a public place?
That is actually a good point. Because it's
Right?
like, well, I feel like that's kind of the whole thing, is that it's like existing in plain sight, but everyone is too busy being like a busybody that they don't see it.
I guess, because I was like,
Yeah.
wait a minute, this doesn't
Wait
make
a
any
gosh darn
sense.
second. I think that is supposed to be the idea, that like muggles are so ignorant to what's going on around them that they don't even notice it.
There's a lot of things that when you adapt the book to the film, it all feels really oversimplified. Like,
Yeah.
especially in this one, like towards the end when Tom Riddle literally just says out loud, like, you might have blinded him, but he can still hear you, or whatever it is. It's like, okay, thanks for you literally just told Harry how he could get out of this situation. Like,
Yeah.
you wouldn't say that.
That's so funny because Josh and I watched it together and we both laughed at that line too. Like,
Yeah.
also, Josh was like, did you know that snakes can't hear over 100 hertz? Snakes can't hear anything. And I was like, how do you know that?
Well,
but
they just got weird little holes, I think. They don't don't have ears.
They
They
don't
just
really
have,
have ears.
yeah.
Yeah, you know.
T actually. Maybe this basilisk is
Yeah. Well, that's what I said. Is
he's
I was
evolved.
like, this isn't a snake. This is a basilisk. So
Yeah.
he seems to have good hearing to me.
I just thought that was so dumb. That was such a like video game type thing. Like,
Yeah, agreed.
there's actually a lot of moments in this movie where Harry for real almost gets killed.
One thing I really like about these movies, and I don't think it's actually intentional, is like how much the movies and the books mirror Harry's like growing understanding of the world.
Yeah.
Like everything gets so
Like
much
we
more
learn
complicated.
when he learns.
Exactly.
And another thing I wanted to ask is, okay, what movie is it? Maybe it's the first one. I can't remember. It is the first one. It's the Quirrell one where Harry's playing Quidditch and Snape is like controlling him in the air. Like, I know that he's on Slytherin's side, so like he's like under the
Well, you're forgetting the actual situation, which is that Quirrell is doing it.
Right. Does he not ever actively harm Harry? I feel like he does, but maybe he doesn't.
No, he never actively harms him, but he like hates his ass. But if you recall, the whole reason why that is because he's so much like James.
Right. Okay. So no. Yeah. Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. So it's like
Yeah.
he like hates his father but loves his mother. So he's like
Yeah.
constantly battling this like I love him and I hate him thing.
Yes.
Okay.
The whole
Got
like
it.
he has his mother's eyes thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's fierce though.
He is fierce. The convenience of when all the kids just roll up on Harry when he's looking at Mrs. Norris. I'm like,
I
what?
know.
Like
I
that.
know. I
You
know.
you could have at least done like the equivalent of a bell ring or something. Like classes
No,
are
they're
switching.
Just walking up. They all just walk
They
up.
just are like, "Hey, what are you doing?"
What's up? Yeah.
And then Filch is like, "Hey, that's my cat." And then Dumbledore's like, "Hey, go away." And it's just like
That also feels video gamey. One thing in this movie that I really appreciate and that is extremely consistent is the amount of times that someone gets knocked backwards really hard by a spell and lands on their back.
happens like 5 times.
Yeah. And this movie is the only one where it happens like that and so often, which feels very 2002 to me, and I actually love that about it.
Yeah. How do you feel about the whole like I mean the only thing you can really equate Mudblood to is racial slurs. Just the whole idea of all these white British people talking about using slurs as like a true deep discrimination is very interesting when they're talking about like blood. They're not talking about skin.
Yeah.
And it feels kind of weird in 2023. Like it feels a bit shallow, I guess. Like when Hermione is like that hurt.
Yeah.
It's like, are you like really like I understand that the term clearly has that much weight in your world. I get that. You live on planet Earth.
But clearly the situation, okay, well, this is the whole thing with Harry Potter, is that it's like racism doesn't exist, but there are metaphors for it. like wizard blood, and also like house elves being enslaved, which like they don't really talk about that much in the movies. There's a lot of stand-ins for systemic issues,
which is weird though when they do have London.
But they barely have London.
But like they are on planet Earth and they know what it means to not be a wizard.
So yes, but what is your point?
My point is, like, how could mudblood really be that serious? When you live on planet Earth?
I feel like I get it. First of all, mudblood is a wildly mean thing to say, just period. Even without the context of it, like, ew, like that sounds horrible.
I just don't think it sounds that bad, I guess.
I get it. Like, I get it. I think it's all about like the delivery of it and like people's reaction to it that makes you get it.
Wait, we should have had like a moment where all the mudbloods reclaim mudblood and they like use it themselves.
Oh no. You know that there's definitely like fanfic out there about that.
Oh yeah. When we were at Universal the other day, Josh came out of the bathroom and was like, they're playing a track of Moaning Myrtle in there. And I was like, oh, okay, interesting. I wonder if they'll be playing it in the women's bathroom as well or not. And then I went in there and they were presumably the same track. But what I remembered incorrectly was that I thought that Moaning Myrtle was in a boys' bathroom because of that one scene where Harry's in the bath in another movie and Moaning Myrtle's there. But then in this movie, they clarify that it's actually a girls' bathroom. And I was like, I remembered that wrong. That's my story.
I remembered that wrong too. I thought, well, also, what would JK have to say about the blurring of the gender binary?
That's what I wrote.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I thought just because Harry uses that bath one time, that it was a boys' bathroom. But it's not.
No. Well, that bathroom is the prefect's bathroom, the fancy one in the fourth movie.
Well, why is Moaning Myrtle in there?
She's just going all over the place. She's following Harry around like it's her job.
I thought she was specific to that bathroom because that's where she died.
I think that she is, but like she can that's like her home room, but she can like travel.
Well, all the other ghosts just go everywhere, but so like we can assume that she can too, but it just seemed like maybe she was like banished to that room because nobody else really knows her. Whereas like Nearly Headless Nick, everybody knows him because he's just flying around.
And he's like chill and not annoying.
Yeah, she's just annoying. That's the thing.
Yeah, no one likes her. This was one thing that kind of struck me in the beginning, which is the Dursleys like hate Harry's ass so much. But they hate him so much, but at the same time, they don't want him to leave their house.
Yeah.
And I'm
because they're like they have like jealousy issues.
Yeah, it's like they don't want him to go leave and be great. Like they want him to suffer in their house. It is so evil. It's like extremely evil.
Another thing that I thought of with we were just saying blurring the gender lines with the bathroom thing. When Tom Riddle goes, "So I fashioned myself a new name."
New identity, reinvention.
I literally was like, oh, so you're okay with that. Okay.
Yeah. I love him. He's so dramatic.
I know, me too.
He's also just always been hot and will always be hot.
Can you just break it down for me? Let me see if I have this right. The premise of this whole movie is kind of explaining the origins of Hogwarts as a school. So it's like we've got the four members that come together. Yeah, the four founders. They come together to create the school. Salazar Slytherin disagrees with the other three about the fact that only pureblood wizards should go to the school. Yeah. So he left the school. But before he did, what?
Just the concept of what you're about to say is really funny. Go ahead. Before he left.
Is it? Okay. Before he left, he said, let me create this weird chamber. Let me create this chamber of secrets, if you will, that can only be opened by an heir of himself, kind of.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And we find out that Tom Riddle was a student at Hogwarts with Hagrid, I guess.
Yeah.
And he basically took the red pill. Right?
In what sense?
Because, okay, but this is what I'm confused about. Is he just like a sycophant for this dark magic, or is he actually related?
A sycophant. Oh my god, the SAT words are being broken out. Okay.
Is he actually related to the Dark Lord? Or is he like, is he okay, so this whole thing of Tom Riddle, Marvolo, whatever the fuck, and then it's I am Voldemort. What is that?
What do you mean, what is that?
So, well, I'm just trying to understand. I'm trying to remember because Harry takes the sword of Gryffindor that is sent to him via Dumbledore's Phoenix.
Yes.
He takes that, he stabs it to the diary, and that ruins.
No, he stabs it through.
Oh, through the basilisk. And then
he gets the fang.
The fang is the thing he stabs into the diary, which ruins this memory of Tom Riddle, who is also Voldemort, basically.
Yes. Yes.
But do you remember what the situation with Aragon is, and like
Aragog? Aragon.
Oh, Aragon is another book. Aragog.
Yeah. So I think the situation is that Tom has found a way to accuse Aragog, Hagrid's spider, of having been the creature that petrified all of these kids back then, which makes no goddamn sense. Okay, the reaction to a large animal being petrification makes no sense, like, in any way.
I almost feel like we cannot be understanding this right. Because
okay, what is our question? What is our question exactly? I'm going to look it up.
Explain. I would like to understand the relationship between Lord Voldemort, Tom Riddle.
Tom Riddle is Voldemort before he became Voldemort.
Oh, wait. Actually, yeah. So I'm trying to understand the relationship between Voldemort, Tom Riddle, and Salazar Slytherin.
Okay, so the true heir of Slytherin is Tom Riddle, also known as Lord Voldemort, who had a direct bloodline connection to Slytherin through the Gaunt family.
But it's like, why him, though?
Okay, I'm going to look up a Voldemort family tree.
Like, they don't explain why it's him at that time. Whereas with Harry, there's a very, a reason why he's the one.
What? Oh, no. Okay, well, in future lore, I guess, Voldemort and Bellatrix Lestrange have a kid, which is absolutely nuts. I fear I've lost the plot. What am I trying to figure out?
I just want to know the relationship between Voldemort, Salazar Slytherin, and Tom Riddle. So, can we say...
All it is that Voldemort is a descendant of Slytherin, and so is Tom Riddle.
Voldemort is younger than Salazar Slytherin.
Salazar Slytherin lived like thousands of years before.
I know, 1,000 years before. I just would have assumed that literal Satan was older than all humans.
No, he's not literal Satan. He's a guy.
I know he's a guy, but like he sure doesn't seem like it. It seems like this is like the peak of all evil. Like he's beyond human in some way. Like he uses human bodies in a way to try to come back, which is what he does repeatedly over and over again. He puts himself in things. He puts himself in people to try to like relive.
But that's not what it is. That's not what it is. He had his body. His body got destroyed during the attempted murder of Harry. Then he was in Quirrell. Then he got his own body in the 4th movie. And then the Horcruxes are not like backup bodies. They're basically like, if you think, it's literally like Google Drive. It's like there's different like drive databases everywhere.
I didn't think they were backup bodies. But yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean. Like if you kill all these drives, then he cannot keep going. The drives have to keep going for the pieces of him to continue. His new, like when he his new body. You know that term that's like, this is my new body. Like if you like get a bunch of plastic surgery, it's like the new body.
Yeah.
That's Voldemort. I think that's sort of a misconception that I had about the concept of Voldemort, because why does he have that? He has that name because he's shuffled up.
He has that name for no reason.
Marvolo?
Don't think that whole thing is like such a red herring. Wait, can I bring in Josh to talk about that specifically?
I've been listening because I like desperately need to chime in about this part because I was really struggling to like comprehend.
I can't believe you were standing right there.
This topic specifically. Not the I am Lord Voldemort, but like the whole, like, what was his thing, this whole movie? Okay, this is probably gonna be underwhelming, but you want me to talk about the I am Lord Voldemort thing?
What? Yeah, that.
Okay. And what we were talking about in general is like, I'm trying to understand the relationship between Voldemort, Tom Riddle, and Salazar Slytherin, and like how this came to be.
Josh is not the.
I'm by no means a scholar, but I was also trying to piece it together in my mind.
I know. I've already told you the relationship. I know what it is.
I mean, Tom Riddle and Lord Voldemort are the same person. That's just him when he was a kid.
Right. He like gave himself a new name.
It was like though, when superheroes get their own, like, rename themselves.
I just have always found that
he went into the witness protection program.
So when he rolled up to kill Harry, he was in that body but just older, basically.
Yes, theoretically.
And then when he tried to kill Harry, it backfires. His body dies. Tom Riddle's body, essentially.
Yeah.
Right.
And now he is trying every avenue to try to come back in some way so that he can finish the job.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
I also heard you say that Horcruxes are like Google Drive. Are you trying to say that they're like data backups?
Yeah.
Of his
That's what it is. That's literally what it is.
Because if you killed all the drives, he could no longer go
That's
on.
literally what it is.
Right.
Okay, what did you want to say about the name?
There's two things I gotta say. First of all, the name is it's just so goofy. Imagine being like, oh, they're gonna be so freaked out when they realize that my new name is my old name, but I rearranged it to say I am Lord of Like, how corny do you have to be to do that? Like, imagine if you like did an anagram of Hannah Ray Leach to be like something else, and then everyone's like, oh god, like it's just like so dumb.
Also, the reason that it's especially dumb is because it requires adding I am.
Right, that's the goofy part. If it was Lord Voldemort.
If it was just the name, I'd be like, okay, actually, that stands. Like, that, I get that. But because it requires I am, it's like, no one's going to think of that anyway.
Right. Also, he named himself Lord Voldemort. You know what I mean? It's not like oh, everyone was like, oh yeah, he's so good. He's
such
Lord.
a lord.
He's such a lord. He's like, no, I'm Lord Voldemort.
It's a drag name. It's a drag name.
I was actually kind of surprised to see though that he explained that in the movie, that he was like, I knew that I was going to be the greatest, so I called myself Lord Voldemort. I am Lord Voldemort. It's just like, imagine if you did that and then you didn't become like the great. That would be so dumb. You'd be like, it's like, oh yeah, I just never mind about all that.
I actually forget I did that.
We're going back to Tom.
We were also talking about when you pointed out the hearing capabilities of snakes.
Right,
Because
yeah.
when he's like, you may have blinded him, but he could still hear
Right,
you.
that part also is also so goofy because they're like, oh shit, it's the snake. It can blind you. And then like the second it appears on screen, it's like, okay, wait, no, it actually can't blind you. Never mind. But it can hear you, which it can't do. Because snakes can't really hear. He should have said it could smell you. Because that's what snakes do. They smell with their tongues.
That seems really obvious. Like,
Yeah.
give it to the other sense. But
I
don't
that part's
know.
especially funny because it's kind of like not super obvious what happens with the bird. And so like Tom Riddle kind of like has to just explain to you what just happened. You're like, what was that? And then he's like, oh no, here's what just happened.
yeah. They keep giving him the lines to explain what's going on.
Right,
and it's
right.
just funny. It's like,
It's so funny.
it works
Did
for
you have anything?
kids, but when
Right,
you're an
it-
adult,
yeah.
it's like, what?
It's yeah. The part that I was really confused about though, because I was listening to you guys talk, and I was also thinking about it when we were watching last night. It was like, okay, Ginny? Okay, the whole Ginny thing.
yeah.
She's just like walking around, like doing all this stuff because she's like possessed by Tom Riddle because she read his diary.
Yeah, Malfoy.
Because they're
put-
communicating through the diary.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Malfoy put the book, which says a lot about his future plans,
Right.
obviously.
Yeah.
Put the book in Ginny's little cauldron thing, which also really ties in the whole Mudblood plot in general. Like, that's the thing that keeps coming up is how this school, he clearly wants the school to only have purebloods. But actually, Hagrid did say in one of the scenes that almost no one is a pureblood.
Right, but then that's kind of the gag is that the Weasleys are.
Right, they
Yeah,
are
the
pure
the
blood.
Weasleys are. So I guess that actually adds up because I would think like that he would pick a young pureblood who doesn't know what's going on to be the one to open the Chamber of Secrets. And that's Ginny. I
Yeah.
mean, that does make sense.
So my big question is, if only the true heir to Salazar Slytherin can open the Chamber of Secrets.
The heir to the man. I guess that makes sense. Okay.
Is it because they're the only ones who know how to do it, or because Ginny like is the one who like technically opened it, right? Opened the sink or whatever.
Yeah. And in my view, I think I would justify that by saying that, well, first of all, she is a pureblood, and that is technically what he was very specific about, so there's that. But also, it's not really her. I kind of feel like it's like not really her because she's under a trance. But I don't know, that's sort of a complication.
I am sure that there is like a thorough
in the
explanation for it in the book.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
If you know what the actual answer is, leave it in the comments.
Yeah.
If you're watching this on YouTube. Tom Riddle, does he exist? Was it like he hadn't like physically materialized yet until right then? Because
Yeah,
because the chamber had not been accessed since it was created.
it was a Horcrux.
Right.
Which
the diary.
But
yeah,
the
the
other
diary.
Horcruxes don't like generate a version of Voldemort into existence. They're just kind of like a thing.
Why would Lucius have his old diary anyway?
Right. I had the same thought. It was like, was it just like at their house? Like, where was it before? Because
I mean, he is a part of the, as you find out later, he's a part of the evil posse who just like does all of Voldemort's dirty
You
work.
mean Death Eaters?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yes.
So
Evil posse.
No, it's true.
So like it's not crazy that he would just have it, but because Voldemort hasn't come back to a body yet, it feels like kind of random. Like I'm not sure that he would know that that book had the significance that it does. He has to know it though, because why else would he be putting it in Ginny's cauldron? I don't know.
Right. And that's the thing is like, why is the chamber only opening right now? Is it because he had the book at like the Malfoy's house and was like, I gotta bring it back to the school so that like all this shit can go down? Like, why didn't they do that like immediately after he died?
Well, theoretically they've been trying, but nothing has
It took the sleight of hand of Lucius Malfoy to slip it into a random person's cauldron.
Yeah.
That was a pretty good success for him in that case.
Yeah.
I'm reading all this shit. I'm reading all this shit about him on Wikipedia now, on harrypotter.fandom.com. They do say that when he goes to Hogwarts, he discovers his heritage and adopts pureblood supremacist ideals, which brings me back to what I was gonna say, which is that it's very clear that it's supposed to be like white supremacy is pureblood supremacy.
Totally. Right.
And also, like, there's barely any wizard alive that is still pureblood.
Right.
It's just like, that's a metaphor, but what is it really saying?
Yeah, because it's like, all right. Like,
It
I was
exists.
saying this to Hannah earlier, like, they do live on planet Earth. Like,
Right.
you know, it's not another planet entirely where mudblood would be a true, like, a true metaphor for racism on Earth. But they are on Earth, and
They
so
don't
we were
live
just
on Earth. They don't really live on our Earth, though. Clearly.
Is that implying that, like, the Wizard Society is, like, a post-racial
Yes.
society?
Yeah,
And that, like,
yeah.
the core conflict is now more about, like, their lineage of wizarddom?
yes,
Yeah.
basically, rather
feel
than
like is
appearance or
Just kind of
Whatever.
far-fetched.
I don't think it's far-fetched. I think that it's a children's series.
yeah. As an adult,
Yeah.
it seems far fetched. At the time when you're a child and you're the proper age, yeah, it's fine.
This is the logic of everything that happened with opening the Chamber of Secrets.
I need this.
So for some reason Voldemort is hiding in Albania when he doesn't have a body. When Voldemort was still hiding in Albania after his unsuccessful attempt to steal the Philosopher's Stone, Lucius Malfoy was still in possession of his diary. In the summer of 1992, Arthur Weasley began conducting raids on several wizarding households to confiscate dark or illegally enchanted objects under his recently proposed Muggle Protection Act. Before Malfoy Manor could be raided, Lucius sold several of his more incriminating possessions at Borgin and Burke's and set in motion the old task that Voldemort assigned him, which involved reopening the Chamber of Secrets. At Flourish and Blotts, the bookstore, Malfoy planted the diary on 11-year-old Ginny Weasley, who brought it to Hogwarts. By doing this, he hoped to kill two birds with one stone. He would rid himself of any ties connecting to the dark arts, and he would discredit Arthur Weasley. Ginny began writing in it and found that a 16-year-old Tom Riddle was answering. She found comfort in the diary, confiding it with her worries, not knowing she was being manipulated. Riddle would always have sympathy. The diary slowly drained the life and energy from Ginny, transferring it to itself. Under the diary's control, Ginny reopened the Chamber of Secrets and released the basilisk, which petrified several students. While possessed, she also killed Hagrid's roosters and wrote threatening messages on the school corridors in rooster blood. Knowing that the diary was doing something to her, Ginny became upset and confused and tried to flush it down the toilet. Harry and Ginny's brother...
I'm actually so sad we don't get that fleshed out in the movie, because I think we could understand and like gain a lot from having scenes of Ginny in this diary where like the diary's like actively manipulating her and she's like writing about like having trouble in a class or something.
Yeah.
And it's like a full on like manipulation thing where she doesn't realize. And I just feel like that hearing you read it and describe it like that, I can like see it in the film and it's not there, which
I know.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, I feel like that actually, the inclusion of that sort of like Ginny, like sort of character explanation would have done a lot for like so much of the franchise of the films.
Yeah.
Because when she appears...
She is generally underdeveloped.
Super underdeveloped. I mean, she's like just straight up not a character in this movie.
Yeah.
She just is like a plot device, basically.
She's not a character until Harry has a crush on her.
Right.
And even then, it's like, I don't know nearly enough.
Yeah.
I don't...
Why?
If I started getting good information on Ginny's inner life in the second movie, I would actually love the fact that they end up together.
Yeah.
Totally.
And if like, and what if she was like, I have a crush on, because she does, like, you kind of find that out. Like that seems so easy.
Perhaps it was that
we
it was
have
already
questions.
2 hours and 40 minutes.
Yeah, right. Right. Thank you, correspondent Josh.
I'm so glad I got to come in because I was like almost gonna knock on the door and be like, I need to know what you guys are talking about.
I have 2 small things left to say. After Tom Riddle goes away and the diary is done, when Harry goes to Ginny and goes, "Don't worry, it's just a memory." I hated that part. So freaking stupid. And then I love the extremely heavy-handed lighting on Lucius's face at the end.
And that
That's
whole thing feels
filmmaking.
like an epilogue. Like,
Yes.
you think it's over. I mean, I guess it's the denouement, but like, it's kind of...
Ooh.
It's kind of really intense for being a denouement. Like, you figure out that final bit of the puzzle, which is that he's the one who planted the book in the first place, which feels like some really good information. And then Dobby is freed. And then you get the great hall scene. Hermione comes back. She's been out of the movie for like a long time.
Yes.
And Hagrid comes back. The score makes you cry, and then it's over.
Also, just shout out to the fact that after the first movie, they gave up on any sort of attempt to make Hermione's hair anything less than perfect ringlets.
Yeah.
Her hair is like done in this movie.
It was never gonna be like, you would need like my hair type and then brush it out. Like you would, or even curlier.
Yeah.
Like for that to be how it was described.
Yeah.
But yeah, honestly, I don't blame them. Let her have nice hair. It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. I think that we cannot talk about this movie any longer without getting sucked back into the void. But do you have anything else you wanted to add?
I have one thing to say, and that is that I think that Obliviate should be used more often, which is when you forget everything.
Right. I know. They never talk about that again, really.
Yeah, I'm like, so you're telling me, imagine the timeline of this movie where Lockhart does use Obliviate on them. And what are the implications of that? Like, how long does that last?
Yeah.
Imagine having the power to do that to anyone at any time and having the amount of willpower to not do it.
It's probably like the same thing as like you could punch someone in the face at any time, but you don't do it.
Yeah, but
or like kill someone at any time and you don't do it, like in real life.
Yeah, but like yes, that has to be the logic, because otherwise, like, you know, they're gonna go to like wizard jail or whatever. Like, he definitely
Azkaban.
yeah. He definitely
Evil posse and wizard jail are killing me.
Listen, I know the terms, but they don't come as readily. Yeah, it has to be that same level of threat to a wizard, because otherwise it's like, why wouldn't you just use this shit all the time?
I also don't get, oh God, we have to wrap this up, but I don't understand why they would hire a phony like Lockhart when they all know he's a phony. It doesn't make any sense. It feels very NYU.
No.
They're like, let us hire someone
Like,
famous.
Yeah, it's like the clout hire. I mean, I wouldn't put it past them. It's sort of a fun idea, but like, yeah, it seems a little unrealistic. Also because they're never going to hold down a professor in this job. Don't you think they should go for the highest quality, lowest drama choice as possible?
Yeah.
But they keep picking duds. Like,
they're only 2 movies deep.
Literally every movie is like, who we got now?
I know. It's fun though.
It is fun. Actually, the Harry Potter series can be boiled down to battle against the defense against the dark arts teacher. Like,
Pretty
every installment is like,
well,
what's wrong
Lupin,
with this teacher?
He's daddy.
Yeah, he's great. Finally. There's always an issue though. He's got his fair share of issues also.
Oh yeah, he's got his demons. Lupin's got demons for sure.
Yeah.
We gotta walk away from this. This has been a very rousing conversation full of robust questioning and learning.
And it's all extrapolation, because we all know that these films are of a very high quality. They're like, I can't dog on them really.
Yeah, no, we love this movie.
Nothing comes close today, honestly.
It's long as shit and I loved every second of it and I don't care. It was a great time. The thing is, it really makes me want to read them again. Or maybe just read the shit out of Harry Potter Wikipedia, because
maybe that.
I'm learning a lot.
Yeah. There's so much lore that I just have no clue about, and if any of you listening are like actual experts, this might have been a very annoying thing to listen to.
Yes, I'm sure this was exhausting. Like, I'm looking at this Wikipedia page right now, and it's like Augustus Rookwood. I'm like, who the hell is that? Sturgis Podmore?
She loves to make up some people. That's her favorite.
She does.
And some things.
She loves to make up a proper noun, as we were saying in the theme park. We'll probably do the third one at some point.
We cannot end this podcast until we've done them all.
It's true. It's absolutely true. We're gonna get to all of them. So until then, thank you for listening.
And you can find more from us at evergreenpodcast.com/sleepover-cinema and keep up with our latest creative projects at 2pinkproductions.com. We're on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube at Sleepover Cinema, and post a full video version of each episode on YouTube every Thursday. You can follow me, Audrey, at Audrey A. Leach on everything.
And you can follow me, Hannah, at Real Judy Garland on Instagram and at Lana Von Trapp on Twitter. And please join our Discord server at the link in our episode description if you have not yet done so.
You can check out our merch at 2pinkproductions.com/shop. We have t-shirts, sweatshirts, stickers, and more.
And if you love Sleepover Cinema, if you could have told us the lineage of Slytherin to Gaunt to Marvolo Riddle very easily, send this episode to a friend who also knows, so you can hate listen together. And leave us a 5-star review being nice.
Sleepover Cinema is a production of Evergreen Podcasts, produced, edited, and engineered by us, Hannah and Audrey Leach. Sleepover Cinema is mixed by Sean Roll Hoffman with theme music by Josh Perlman Hall. Executive producer is Michael D'Aloia.
Also, Dobby's annoying as shit.
Yeah, we forgot to say that. Dobby's annoying as shit. Okay, bye.
Bye.